Clearly, it's been a few years since Philip Hobbs has had a good novice hurdler, because he mentioned going to the Tolworth hurdle at Sandown, no longer at the Tolworth hurdle, no longer at Sandown, and he said it was next month.
Hello and welcome back to the Let's Talk Racing YouTube channel in association with Racing TV. We're back, and this time we're going to be previewing the Holden Gold Cup meeting at Exeter, as well as the Badger Beers at Wincanton. We've got plenty of racing to also get stuck into from the last few weeks. It's really been ramping up. Some good performances at Down Royal, some good performances at Cheltenham even before that, and some good performances midweek, especially today at Chepstow. Some exciting novice hurdlers. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, very good, Josh. As you say, fantastic time of the year now. The last couple of weeks we've seen some plenty of good performances in novice hurdles, novice chases, enough to get the appetite rolling. And then even last week we saw a couple of the old stagers come back to life as well, which is absolutely fantastic. That is why we love the game.
We absolutely love the jumps, and it's really ramping up. The November meeting around the corner, so much to get stuck into. If you do enjoy this video, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and do get your comments down below. I want to know, and the question is, which horse so far this season, and ideally not one of the really obvious ones in the graded races, has impressed you at home the most? So do let us know down below which horse has impressed you the most. That could be in a maiden hurdle, could be in a juvenile, could be a novice chase, could be a handicap. It doesn't even have to win. Give us a horse who has really caught your eye this season. Right, we've got plenty to get through, so I'm going to fire through. I know we've mentioned Starzand, but I did want to get your opinion on him and how he did it.
Yeah, he did it very nicely. I think that day at Chepstow there was a couple of nice maiden hurdles, certainly races to keep the right side of. He looks a very progressive horse. I think you mentioned at the start of the season how he could be a nice type, and that yard in Hobbs and White do seem to have a couple of novice hurdlers that really could bring them back to some big grade 1 days, which is good to see. I don't think he's the quickest horse in the world. I think he'll be obviously best suited at middle to potentially even staying distance strips this season, but he is a good horse.
I think he is a good horse as well, and I found it really enjoyable. We'll get onto Sober Glory today as well, seeing Philip Hobbs' horses doing well, because I loved Defi de Soy, loved Time Hill, and it has been since those horses that they've had a really good one. We can put it honestly like that. So it's great to see 2 possible stars for them.
Yeah, no, very much so. We may as well discuss Sober Glory as we're talking about it. He was so good today at Chepstow. I know potentially he wasn't beating a whole pile in behind. Skelton's novices haven't necessarily been fully tuned up first time out. Yes. There's been a couple of intriguing rides, no different today. But he is just, he's a very, very nice horse. And I know, you know, it's good to see Hobbs and White with a very, very good horse. Clearly, it's been a few years since Philip Hobbs has had a good novice hurdler, because he mentioned going to the Tolworth hurdle at Sandown, no longer at the Tolworth hurdle, no longer at Sandown, and he said it was next month. Yeah, I don't know when it was ever in December, but not in me and your time. Anyway.
It's clearly been a little while since Philip Hobbs has had a Tolworth horse, but he's going to get a real shock when he looks at the calendar.
Where is it?
And it's not there.
Where is this race?
But I suspect he might go to the Kennel Gate at Ascot, and then maybe go to the
I think when he
race at Boxing Day at Aintree.
Yeah, I think when he cops on that the Tolworth is now the Formby on Stephen's Day, then he might well end up there. Yeah. I think he is actually a horse that we might see the best of over 2.5 miles.
I agree. I think he'd win if something like the Shallow Hurdle.
Potentially, but at the moment he's winning so well at 2 miles. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. Did you watch the Philip Hobbs interview by any chance?
Yeah, potentially.
That's exactly what he said, word for word. Right, let's look back at Cheltenham. We didn't really get stuck into that meeting, but we will do now on some of the younger horses that we might see down the line this season. Al Nilam in the 2-mile novices chase I wanted to mention, because I think he will definitely go to the Arkle trial at the November meeting. There's no doubt there. But I thought the interesting one going into the race and maybe coming away from the race was Country Mile. Now, lots of people were talking about him as if he was a grand annual plot, because he had a really weird condition in the race where if you got beat, your handicap mark couldn't go up.
Yeah.
It was very strange and doesn't happen very often. So I'm sure Dan Skelton was rubbing his hands together. He ended up finishing third, did he?
He did, after a mistake.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I actually think it's been a really good thing, the Racing TV drone cam.
Yeah.
And you can see all these races from above. And he did not jump like a 2-miler. I watched every single one on the drone, and he was so slow, so lethargic, that even thinking of like a Grand Annual, I know the Skeltons can improve them drastic amounts, but I was massively worried about his jumping at 2. I think he could be one for maybe the Jack Richards Novices Handicap Chase, or something up in trip, but it won't be over 2 for him.
No, I can see your point there. Certainly, they went quick in that race, and he didn't seem to be able to keep up in the early stages. I don't think that was a case of him not being off, if I'm being brutally honest. And just like even based on the October meeting, surely Unexpected Party is going to be the one. He was given a very much a kid glove ride. I think Harry Atkins got a slap on the wrist for it. But you can see why they'll just go back to the same race with him yet again. He does so well at Cheltenham.
Conman John.
Well, I enjoyed Conman John. I backed Conman John, and he's just... It does feel with Lucinda and Michael Scudamore, with those horses in those colours, they just seemingly are the same horse almost. It's very Ahoy Seigneur, Mayertown. We've kind of seen it all before. Front running,
it's incredible,
a little bit eccentric at times, but they've got fair engines. They're looking at the Bartlett. Obviously, he's won a Cheltenham race. You can understand why they're looking at the Bartlett. Given the yards record in it, I'd be more in preference potentially for an end of season target being the Sefton.
I feel like the Lucinda Russell novice hurdlers that go forward that end up being decent chasers, it's a bit like Cobham with their like churning out centre halves like Levi Colwill, Chalobah. Yeah. They're all so similar. Zuma came through the academy, didn't he?
Yeah.
They're all decent enough, but they're all just such a similar type of player.
They are. Are you suggesting that they're not top class?
I am, yeah. That's exactly what I'm suggesting. I think Derry Hassan Paddy has a potential. Ahoy Seigneur was a brilliant horse, but none of them become a champion.
No. But why is that?
Don't know.
Yeah. I think... I've had certainly a few.
Sorry, very quickly, just to defend myself. I'm not, because I know I can see the people behind the camera going, "How dare you say that?" I'm not for 1 minute suggesting that Lucinda Russell can't train a champion.
No.
What I'm saying is they're just not good enough.
No,
but they could be really good horses.
I can understand that. However, I think it would be fair to say there's been a couple of race planning oddities in the last few years, I would say, especially with novice chasers, that may not necessarily have been what other people would do. But
is there something that springs to mind when you think about that?
Well, it just the constant need for Ahoy Seigneur to run at Kempton. Why on earth was that the case? He was never a Kempton horse, was he?
He wasn't a Kempton horse. I thought Holy Smoke, we both agreed that he was particularly eye-catching and will strip footed for the run. I think if he goes back to something like Sandown, start of December, there's got to be a staying chase on the Tingle Creek card.
Is there not a 3 mile 5 London National, I believe?
Shit up if he ran in that.
Yeah, he would do indeed. That's knowledge from me, knowing the London Nationals on Tingle Creek.
It is indeed. And then we had the Pertemps qualifier. There were 4 that qualified, and I thought the first and the fourth were the interesting ones. However, I actually think the first could be a really good horse. So Long Draw finished 4th. I really liked him on the day. I actually think he's probably quite ready. It just wasn't to be, and I think he will come on for the run. If they can keep him on a mark, I think he ran off 138. If they can keep him around there and get him to the final in one piece, I actually think he'd be competitive and would give Ollie Murphy a great chance at winning his first festival race because he loves that track. And then with Marchand too, I think he finished 7th in the Bartlett last year or 8th. It isn't dissimilar to Paisley Park in a way.
I can see it.
Coming through the handicaps, he's going to go to the race at Paisley Park 1 at Haydock, and I think he's going to have a great chance. I think he was put up the best part of £10, £8, but he'll still have a wonderful chance of that.
Yeah, and he absolutely gagged up with his mouth open. Now, like whether other horses were really looking to blow their marks, who knows in the end. I agree with you on Long Draw. I think Long Draw would be best seen in a really fastly run race, which you're likely to get in a Pertemps final. It was a bit stop-start gallop in the Pertemps qualifier, which can often happen. I think he'll be more interesting in the final. Marchand too. I wouldn't put it past the fact that this horse rocks up in the long walk.
Really?
And if he wins at Haydock, where do you go?
Get to the Cleve. Grade 2, step up. The Paisley Park route. Did Paisley Park...
Paisley Park won the long walk.
After winning the handicap?
After winning at Haydock. But obviously he didn't run at Cheltenham beforehand. Right. But if he wins at Haydock off his mark, like, he's not going to be able to win a Pertemps then.
No.
So
has to go into graded company.
You may as well roll the dice, I'd have said.
I think he's smart. I think he could go that way. Taurus Bay made a very striking debut for Ben Pauling and the Harry Redknapp colours at Stratford. Weak race, but I think it was smart. A lot of Ben Paulings are extremely forward this time of year. He's chucking in winners. I wonder what the effect of that might become the spring. Romeo Coolio made his chasing debut over at Down Royal, and he was smart, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. He didn't have to jump too many fences. Obviously, a lot of fences were dialed off when he was running, which was a shame, but the fences he did have to jump, he jumped very nicely. I've got such a soft spot for Romeo Coolio. I don't know what it is. It's a little bit like Firefox last year. You know, you love the horses that you shouldn't love, but I just really, really like him. I would love nothing more than him to go to the Drinmore and absolutely bolt up.
Well, I think he will go there, and I think
Tell me he wins.
I think he'll win.
Tell me.
I think he'll win. But my issue is I think they've got an issue with him.
No.
Because, so if you win the Drinmore, where do you go? You go, there's only two options really. You can go down to 2 mile and 1 furlong at Leopardstown at Christmas, because they've reinstated the kind of, it's not an Arkle trial, but you know what I mean.
The novice chase.
It was the racing post-novice chase.
Yeah.
And then, at the same time, you go to Limerick, which they've put up 2 furlongs, so it's now 2 mile 6 at Limerick, the Faheen Novices Chase, the Grade 1. Or you wait for the DRF, where you have similar options. You can go to the 2-1 race, the Arkle trial, not the Arkle trial, but the Irish Arkle, or you could go to the Flogas. The issue is you're going to probably bump into Kopek de Board, who you held on hurdles form, and then Final Demand in the 2-5 race, which I wouldn't fancy. Does he go to the Scilly Isles and follow a Jerry Colombe route? Maybe. That would kind of be a decent race for him. But I feel like he's a proper... My issue is, I'm getting there, he's a proper 2.5 miler.
Yeah.
I don't think he's quite quick enough for 2. I think he keep finishing at the arse of quicker horses over 2.
Yeah.
And we don't know yet if he's a 3 miler. But I think it's unlikely for Gordon to send him to 3 miles. So if I'm thinking purely from... I love the horse. If I'm thinking purely from an anti-post point of view, I think he will run at Cheltenham, because Gordon is going to get sucked in, and he will run him.
And also KTDA, should I say, they want Cheltenham runners. That's their remit almost. So
he could run in the novice handicap chase, but he won't,
No.
because he's going to be carrying top weight. He could be second or third favourite at an Arkle, and if Kopek de Board was really disappointing, he'd come into the picture. But then he's got to step up to 3 and probably beat Final Demand. It's just a tricky old time for him.
I think, though, I would see a situation where he runs in the Drinmore. I would then run him in the 2-1 at Leopardstown at Christmas.
Right.
Because there's a potential that Kopek de Board hasn't made his chase debut by then.
Yeah.
That he'll make his chase debut on the 27th at Leopardstown in the beginner's chase.
Yeah.
Who's going to be running in it then?
He'd probably win it. But if Kopek de Board does run in the race, it's going to be very difficult.
Potentially so, but you can't run away from one horse. And I feel that 2 mile division, especially that William Money is staying hurdling, isn't strong.
Right.
I look at the 3 mile division and it frightens.
So do you think he'll go 2-1 Irish Arkle? I
think he'll go 2-1 at Christmas. I think he'll then skip the DRF, because often Gordons do.
Scilly Isles?
No, and he'll just go from Leopardstown at Christmas, because he'll have 3 runs, but then he'll have Down, Royal Ferry, Leopardstown.
And which race will he run in the Arkle?
He'll run in the Arkle.
He just won't win the Arkle though, will he?
Would you be bold and ride him from the front in the Arkle?
Possibly, but how often do Gordons do that?
No, perhaps not. But you got to sometimes take things by the scruff of the neck. I just look at the Brown Advisory is going to be a more depthful race.
The perfect race for him, the perfect campaign, if Gordon can resist not going to Cheltenham, is the Drinmore, the Scilly Isles, and then either Fairyhouse or Aintree.
Yes.
Over 2.5.
And
then that's it.
Yeah, but he won't do that.
But he won't.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good problem to have, isn't it?
It's first world issues.
Monge Toot was good in the juvenile hurdle. She was made to really dig deep, but she went off a frightening clip. I would really love to see her go a slightly more even pace, and I think she'd be a much better horse for that. I think you can upgrade the performance as a result. I think after 3 fences or 4 fences, she was like 51 lengths clear of the handicap that day.
Yeah, no, that doesn't surprise me. They went quick, and I think she'd be better with the lead, to be honest.
It was frightening. Did you fancy anything at Wetherby?
No, in the end, I thought Wetherby was a little bit of a disappointment. Jello obviously won the Charlie Hall. I know kind of sharper faces than me have thought for a while that he might be a King George horse. You could almost see him being the best English horse in the King George. The problem is if Gaelic Warrior or Factor File turns up, they'd eat him.
I agree. For what it's worth, I think Pictori would reverse the form with Jello in a King George. I was actually really impressed by him. He travelled so strong.
Pictori.
Not Pictori, sorry. Pictori. That's what. Yeah, he travelled so strong.
Oh, he did. Yeah.
He jumped really nicely. He made the one mistake at the top of the straight. I can forgive him that. But I actually thought like a speed favouring right-handed track, which you know he loves. The way he jumped and the way he travelled over 3, I think he'd get home at Kempton. I'm not saying he'd win the race, but I think he'd confirm the form with Jello.
Maybe so. I think Jello is an underestimated horse, to be fair, and I think he's probably a horse that, unlike all of Venetia's others, doesn't necessarily need it hock deep. The problem is, as I say, no matter what you like Jello, whether you like Pictori, if any of these good Irish horses come up, they're a stone behind.
And I watched the Paddy Power preview for the season, and it sounded like both Factor File and Gaelic Warrior could be coming over, which is frightening. But I'm just thinking, if they don't, for whatever reason, I personally would back Pictori.
Okay.
That's not just in general, but again, if those two were to reappear, I think Pictori do.
Fair enough.
I thought there was some good novices at Cork on Sunday. One was I'm Slippy, who won the valuable Ferry House Sales bumper, which has been won by Brighter Days Ahead and Cup of the Boards for the last 2 years. And then I also thought Echoing Silence was really good in the Mayor's Novices Hurdle. I thought she was very, very smart, and it was a very nice hurdling debut. Right, that's the review. Anything else you want to mention?
No, I would echo your thoughts on I'm Slippy. I think he's one that will go completely under the radar because it's Tyner and Enright, and people will think, what's that all about? But people will forget how many good horses that have been through Robert Tyner's hands as young horses and then have been sold. Yeah. So I think he's managed to keep hold of this one. He looks a smart horse.
Right, now it's time to preview the weekend, and we're going to touch on the Holden Gold Cup. We're also going to touch on Wincanton on Saturday, and then we're going to look at the Grand Saturn. I don't have a fancy in it, but we're going to have a look at the race nonetheless. Before, a few things that you need to watch at the end. Right, the Holden Gold Cup is interesting. There's 6 in it, and I think this is my thinking.
Yeah.
I think if all of these had one run, and they all came into this race in a month's time, I think Caliph de Burley would absolutely gag up.
Yep.
I think he's much the best horse in this race.
Yep.
He is quite good fresh.
Yep.
And he really does like good ground.
Yep.
And the way that Nichols is talking about him, and the way that Paul is crying out for a real superstar, I think he'll be a slightly bit more forward than we think.
Okay.
And I actually think there's only £3 between him and JPR1. If I could guarantee Caliph de Burley's fitness, I'd be all over him. My issue is this is JPR1's Cup final. And it's a track that he loves. He won the race last year. I don't know. There's lots of pace in the race. Saint Segal, Thistle Ask, and Caliph will all go forward. I just feel like it could set it up for JPR1, but I really want Caliph de Burley to go and win this well. I just don't know if he will.
No, I'm sceptical myself, and I'm very keen on JPR1.
Really?
Yeah. I think he's slightly underestimated in terms of how good he is. I think without the odd, very bad mistake, he'd have an awful lot of a better record than he does. But in the main, he's a very good jumper. And look at Caliph de Burley. Could blow them apart. He could be the best horse. I'm sure he is probably the best horse long-term out of all of them. But he has to go and prove it out of novice company of 156. It's not easy.
No.
And it's not an easy little race either. And I just think...
And maybe Aintree, there were a few horses that were coming towards the end of their seasons, Lurdasuds.
Yeah, it's just, what's the Honeyball horse in second, Brookie?
Yeah.
Now, that form isn't worth a slice of cheese. It's off 156. Now, fair enough, he could be a champion chase horse. He could be a proper Grade 1 horse, potentially. But he'd need to be off 156.
Yeah, it's been tricky for Paul because he's an extremely proud man. And the results haven't been going the way that he'd been hoping. I know last year he won the Ascot Chase, he won the Hennessy, he won the Paddy Power, he's won some massive races, but it wasn't the same as what we're used to with Paul. And he's so proud, he's so bullish, and I do feel that at the moment he's still keeping those spirits of being so positive about his horses and don't count us out in the Trainers' Championship and all this malarkey. But I don't feel like the results are backing him up, and as a result, it's not probably looking great for him.
No, potentially not. But also, you've got to bear in mind, wasn't it Grenadine that kept getting beaten in this race off top weight? And then he'd go in a month's time and he'd either win the Tingle Creek or go very close. I'm almost not ruling out, maybe Caliph de Burley's not quite quick enough for the Tingle Creek, but I wouldn't rule that out. That he runs a very good race come second or third. But you know for a fact JPR1 is going to be off and is going to be ready to go.
Well, he will have a graded winner though, nonetheless, this weekend, Paul Nicholls, because Blue King Daru is going to win the Rising Stars. He finished second to Risk in the Ground, a summer fit horse.
Yes,
it was a good jumping display. He was long at the fourth and the fourth last.
I can understand he's probably the most likely winner of the Rising Stars. I can understand he's a very good horse over hurdles. And he will become a good horse over fences. Tick, 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 tick. But I knew you'd come and say that about the Newton Abbott run. It was a deplorably poor effort.
I don't think it was bad.
How did he get beat?
I don't think it was bad at all.
Blue King Daru. We've got a Grade 2 open hurdle
making his
winner.
Chasing debut.
Yeah, against a handicapper from the summer.
That was summer fit.
How do you get beat at Newton Abbott?
If we're talking about that as things at the start of the season, I had a decent chunk on Fortune de Mare and he talks to Maiden Hurdle. Suddenly comes on, wins a Grade 2 on his next start.
I'm not saying he won't, but you can't mark that up.
I thought he jumped really well other than 2.
Dear. I think he'll win on Saturday. I'm not saying he won't. It could be like Fortune de Mare, but it's like Fortune de Mare getting beaten at 3s on at Uttoxeter and coming out of the race going, that was a great run.
Talking about Fortune de Mare, what I found quite strange is in the following race in the Elite Hurdle, Fortune de Mare's jocked up with Harry Skelton, which is a bit of a strange one. We've got Nappers Hill, who's 3-1, not been seen in 2 years. Gibbs Island, a 4-year-old, and then Arubo, who's odds on. This is arguably the worst renewal I've ever seen of this race.
It's often not one of the all-time great races, but this is taking the biscuit. This is taking the biscuit. Rubo just wins, does he not?
He does, yeah. The Badger Beard is extremely competitive. I quite fancy one here.
Oh, me too.
I like 2. Well, I like 1.
Okay.
So I don't like this horse, but I'm not putting him up. But I'm just going to mention him. Collector's Item.
Yeah.
Ran a huge race at Wincanton in January,
yep,
where he beat Katati Dori was 3rd,
yep,
off 122.
Yep.
King Turgeon was 2nd.
Yep.
The horse I like is the one in 4th for Anthony Honeyball called Credo.
Okay.
Likes Wincanton.
Yeah.
Has won there before. He opened it up a season last year, I believe, with a win at Wincanton, or the season before. Goes well fresh. He is a 10-year-old, albeit, but I think a mark of 133 is workable. He's 20-1, and I just think you know what you're going to get with him.
Yeah.
Whether with Collector's Item, I don't trust him to be ready.
Yeah.
If he was ready, I'd be keen.
Yeah.
Don't trust it.
No, I can see. I get it with Credo.
Who do you fancy?
Well, for those that do go to the Feathered Fish, after racing at Cheltenham, if you go for a piss downstairs, it's quite a spirally staircase. You come back outside and there's a black poster there of an old kind of man with a, "Do you think you're a wise guy?"
Yeah.
I really fancy Wise Guy.
Really? For Henderson?
Yeah. It completely, as you well know, not the type of horse I would get behind.
No, it's not.
But I just look at his form. He goes brilliantly fresh, loves good ground, handicapped to win. And also, I then went, if I'm being honest, Nico de Boinville, not really the jockey I'd want for a big handicap chase. Then I looked at Aintree. Impose Trois entered. Excello in the Topham. He's going to be at Aintree. We could have James Bowen on our hands here on Wise Guy. That's exactly what I need and what that horse needs. So I think around 10 to 1, I've turned myself inside out, and I think I am a Wise Guy.
I don't remember the last time you talked about Henderson Horse in a positive way. Other than I like jump on. You're not really
like jump on.
Yeah. Anything in the Grand Sefton?
No, I thought two that were interesting. I'm worried. I don't want to become a Sam Thomas just kind of barker, because you can sometimes go to these yards.
But our power's going to win this Grand Sefton.
Exactly. I think he'll run well, but I don't think he'll win actually, because I'd be concerned about the trip. I thought Mahon's Glory was interesting. Bold running front runner, really good jumper as well. Obviously hasn't run over the national fences before, so you've got to take that on trust. But if regulation fences are anything to go by, I think he'll win.
All being, if we're going to be completely real, you have recently been to Sam Thomas for Racing TV, and when can viewers watch that?
It will be out last night,
yeah.
As you're watching this on This Racing Life. That's more of a general chat, a bit of a chat with Dylan Johnson as well, the young jockey that's riding all of them, and there should also be a stable tour out on YouTube, which has some good nuggets in it. Taking
over the world, LTR. Right, let's move on to kind of best bets for the weekend. I don't really have one, but I've just got two horses that I'm probably going to back. One is Il Atlantique, if he runs in the Barberstown.
Okay, yeah.
I just think that he is a 2-miler.
Yeah.
Go out in front. And I do think I don't want to just make him and hope that he's Energamine that he was, but I don't think he gets 3.
Yeah.
And the best performance he put up was when he beat Firefox over 2.
Yeah.
Last year. So he's going to have to beat Touch Me Not.
Yep.
There's a few others in there that are interesting, but I think Il Atlantique over 2 miles I quite like in the Barberstown. And then the other one is we're both off to Sandown on Sunday, and I am hearing good things about a Dan Skelton bumper horse called St James's Finest, who's entered.
Nice.
So St James's Finest, if he runs in the Sandown bumper.
Very good. I'm going to have Wise Guy as a best bet in the Badger Bears on Saturday, and again one for Sunday. As we are going to Sandown, I thought it would be remiss to not have a best bet. And after all this, I'm not bigging up Sam Thomas or anything like that. Steel Ally in the Chasing Excellence.
Good bloody race that as well.
It is a good race. I got the wink.
Got the wink. Love that. Right, Steel Ally at Sandown. We do hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, please hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you come into Sandown, come and say hello. We'll see you there.